I kinda made a bit of an oopsie.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah. The rush of logging in, getting stuff sorted.
Of course,
Alright.
no problem. It's better. Made it, uh, we made it in the first time, so trust me, a bell pool is like, we don't care.
Oh, okay.
The only thing is, we need to reposition a bit, but
Oh, really?
yeah, because, well,
Oh yeah, of
see
course. I thought you meant the teams as in... Oh. Oh, this is very interesting. This is something we talked about earlier as well. Instead of getting like 2 heavy ships and like a support ship, we see that RUBLI has gone for 1 heavier ship and 2 lighter support ships, as in 2 surprises and Essex.
Sorry, I haven't looked yet, just that SLRN thought I was giving a go.
Understandable, honest mistake.
Yeah.
Alright, in the meantime we've seen that RUBLI has a full carronade loadout, which actually comes to no surprise, but if you have 2 surprises and Essex in your team.
What
But
about SLRN? Have you looked at them?
SLRN has long guns, and long guns. We're gonna see longs versus full carronade loadout. And as I mentioned, SLRN is... I think this match would have been a done deal if those 2 trinks would have carried carronades. I mean, a carronade trink against a surprise, you don't even need to.
True.
Oh.
Though they did pretty well. Oh wait, Christ.
Minimize, and there we go. Well, I think the long guns is an interesting choice, and I think it's it will be good against carronades. I should rephrase. We have seen several long guns versus carronade matches, right? And so far the only conclusion was, if you go in with long guns, which so far every team with long guns has, you're gonna lose.
Well, let's see. You don't know, but
So far they have. I mean, that's a fact.
Indeed. So far they have. Okay, so this positioning is well, it's a bit messy, but it will be perfectly fine. It will be perfectly fine.
We'll see.
So Dumpert is just closing in a bit. I think when he saw that the others were gathering.
It doesn't look like RUBLI really wants to get closer. It looks like
Okay.
Dumpert is already cutting sail. I think Dumpert is good to go.
So RUBLI ready.
So we're gonna play until exactly 40 then. So that's 45 minutes.
Yep.
Alright, let's go. So yeah, just a brief recap. RUBLI is bringing a 1 heavy ship, 2 lighter frigate kind of loadout, as in 1 Essex and 2 surprises, full carronade. SLRN is bringing 2 heavy frigates and a lighter frigate, 2 trings and a Cerberus respectively, carrying longs. As I mentioned, if those trings would have carried carronades, the broadside weight difference would have been so immense. I think it would have been a near default victory for SLRN.
That's their second match of the day for RUBLI. Actually, they played one this afternoon.
Oh really? And they won?
I don't want to spoil you the fun of looking at that match, because you don't know till the end of what's happening. If you really ask me, I can tell you, but I would.
I'd like to know, yeah.
Okay, so they did win,
Okay.
but it was really close.
All right. This is what I don't get, right? You bring long guns, and the first
it.
thing you do is
Yeah.
charge in against the Carronade team. Now, okay, for the people that want to get some stats in, because it's always interesting to see how broadsides actually compare to each other. But for people that maybe don't know yet what the respective Carronade broadside weight of a surprise is compared to a long medium of a drink, the surprise has a 510-pound broadside weight compared to a 350 drink with long guns. So let that one sink in, like a 1.5 times broadside weight. And with good opening clash, Savanetta just doing casual double broadside as always. It's getting quite some heavy return fire. Few waterline shots, nothing critical. Minor damage really. We see RUBLI falling in with each other. Turning in line. Very neat. SLRN.
They don't need to. Yeah.
I wonder though, are they gonna utilize the long guns, or are they just gonna try and brawl it out with double charge and double shot at this point?
That would be awkward. That would really be awkward, because why not take carronades then?
I wholeheartedly agree. There are a lot of teams or a lot of players in this game, excuse me, that like the shooting angle, like the curvature of the long shot, and I admit for aiming it's quite a pleasure, especially if
it's really comfortable.
yeah. And carronade is a bit more iffy from time to time, but you can see that RUBLI is just casually sailing through, and Savanetta actually isn't in that great a position because he's gonna eat 3 broadsides
True.
in a row. And if RUBLI is smart and they're gonna turn left now, which I hope they're gonna do, they can kind of prevent Savanetta from getting back, especially with Pablo, Esle and Captain Frost sailing a bit further downwind, albeit slowly. They have actually the luxury to go after Savanetta, which they currently aren't actually. That's a shame. I think that might have been a missed opportunity. I mean, look at the side structure of Savanetta.
Less than half. In a few minutes, less than 4 minutes.
And now they've turned, and I think this turn, the one they did now, was too late. I think
Indeed.
they should have initiated as soon as Chris has broadside off, turn left. Wait until Dump has broadside off, turn left. And then game over. They would have been at least close to the guy, but also in a good position against him.
And the real problem they're gonna have now is getting to the others with their longs.
Exactly.
If they decide to use them, I mean.
Well, if I were Pablo at this point, right? You're cut off, and your other guys aren't even in a position to come and help you, even if they want to. Why go closer to them? Why not stay at range where they can't hit you and hit their sails? You have your long guns, use them. Please. Please use them.
Yeah, look at Christ's broadside, went right in the water.
Yep.
It was short of 20, 50 meters, maybe probably more.
So what does that tell you? If the enemy can't hit you, but you're in excellent position to hit them, and they can't even threaten a single teammate of yours, except for Savanetta, but I'm not sure what Savanetta is doing at this point. I really have no clue. But Pablo could have shot maybe 2, I think that's conservative, 2 broadsides into their sails, and since it was so close grouped together, he might have gotten collateral damage. And Savanetta is just gonna get focused down here. RUBLI is sailing in excellent formation, close to each other. Savanetta is gonna take 3 broadsides in a row again. Potentially 4 if Chris plays his card right. No.
Range move from Savanetta. I don't know why he did not go back to his friends, because his friends, if they want to help him, they need to go upwind.
Yeah.
which they can't with a Trincomalee, as a Cerberus. It's hard. But RUBLI has surprises, so they are able to go upwind pretty good.
Indeed. And what I still fail to understand is, and maybe it's part of a grander scheme, but they aren't going for the sails of RUBLI. They are going for the hull of RUBLI. But if you see the hull damage, then look at the damage that Savanata sustained. You begin to wonder, is their current play a good trade-off? Because it is a trade-off, but I doubt it's a good one at this point.
Well, at this point, none of RUBLI's ships have taken really important damage. Look at that. A complete broadside on game over. Didn't feel a thing.
And that Essex broadside he received, that was 640 pounds, and that's almost twice the broadside weight of the return shot of Savanata. So why brawl it out close quarter if you don't have close quarter tools? And look, Frost and Pablo could have been shooting for maybe 2 or 3 minutes continuously at the sails instead of the bow and stern of the RUBLI guys, and therefore immobilize them, or at least make him spend the sail repair. You are 100% sail. If you shoot your enemy down to 90%, sail away. Force him to spend that repair, and with the distance you've gathered, turn around and shoot him down to 90 again. And that's when you have them on the knees. That's when you can finish them off. And what you're doing right now is neither.
Yeah.
Savanat is currently kinda luring the RUBLI guys, but whilst he's luring, Pablo and Captain Frost aren't profiting from it. Because Savanata is gonna turn right to do a broadside, Chris is gonna turn with, and Chris' broadside is heavier than Savanata's. He's shooting at Savanata's weak side.
Thing is, Savanata is trying to indeed to take the focus, but problem is he was doing so by going upwind against Surprise. A Surprise will always go upwind better than you, especially if you're in a Trincomalee. So they have 2 Trincomalees, which go way faster than these Surprises when they go downwind. So they could have gone downwind for that match. Usually we say going upwind. Why not go upwind when you have longs? But in that case, it is probably a better solution for them with their trinks to go at 180 of the wind or something.
That's fair, yeah. If you're faster, that's perfectly fine. You all focus the Essex a bit, make the Essex slower, and you're golden. But again, they're not focusing the sails, so what's the point of kiting then?
I don't know.
You do barely damage at range, and one of your guys is getting killed. Look at Savanata. Chris is almost reloaded, I assume. Chris will get a broadside in. And even if Chris dies, which he even isn't even close to, right? But if he does, it will be a surprise for a Trink. How good of a trade is that? In the meantime, RUBLI is actually shooting the mass of Pablo. Look at how comfortable they feel. Because they don't feel the need to shoot the whole of Pablo. They just feel like, well, we can shoot his mast. That shows that they don't feel threatened at any single point in this battle. And Savanata has lost 1 complete broadside.
Well, what you need to know is that in this previous match they did this afternoon, they actually demasted completely one of whose team ships. But like completely, it was an HMS Unicorn in front of the battlefield, in the middle of the battlefield. So those RUBLI guys are able to demast with good broadside aiming, if they want.
I'm fairly sure that, and I think we just saw the first broadside of chain in this whole match. Wow. Because are they finally realizing that the enemies are, even the carronade guys are going after the masts? Hence, maybe they should, try to demobilize the enemy as well.
And Savannah is repairing. I don't know if you've seen.
Yep. By the way, I'm not. Oh, Chris, game over. Not colliding, or are they?
Oh.
It's gonna be a bit of a snuggle. By the way, I'm not trying to bash SLRN play. Maybe their play is excellent, but I'm currently just not seeing any return on their investment so far. What I am seeing though is that Pablo is doing some proper hull damage where Game Over and Chris are just trying to do mainly sail damage or mass damage to Pablo, which isn't paying off so far. So that's something I would consider an investment. And yeah.
One thing I was thinking about.
Mhm.
We've seen that the I don't know if it was a previous match or the match before, people forcing the other team to overcommit, to going like we're wounded, we're almost done, come and get us, and once they come and get you, well, you realize they're unsinkable. We've seen that previous game, we've seen that game before, so I was wondering maybe Savanetta was just baiting them, saying, okay, give me everything you got, I don't care, I'll be able to survive longer than you, even with no broadside. But it seems, as he repaired really early, that he's not able to survive long without his broadside. So it...
And there goes the first mass of Pablo. And I think if Pablo is not able... Oh, and Chris is on fire.
Yeah.
I'd almost say just fire ship Chris. But then again, Chris has a repair, so...
You really do want to see that big boom, don't you?
I mean,
At some point.
it's a good trade. I seriously, I would do the surprise versus strength trade. Chris is not particularly healthy. Then again, Pablo is the master, probably not gonna go anywhere soon. I'm surprised. I'm wondering if he's gonna get boarded here. No. Game Over is raising sail on purpose.
And I think he's repairing his sails. Yes, he is. 62%. He's going up 63.
Something I have noticed though is that Game Over has taken quite a lot of damage in this demasking process. So
He has.
it makes me curious if they want to force that's oh no, it's, I thought it was growing the fire. It's an investment. It has been a spicy investment. And looking at the health of Savanetta at this point, was it worth it? Because Game Over have lost a bit of the advantage in my eyes from their position, say 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Before they
Indeed,
started to do
indeed,
the
yeah.
demasking.
Indeed. They were all fine and had an advantage now when you look at it. Well, Savanetta did use that repair, and it almost didn't impact his left broadside because it was almost full, so he wasted a bit of that. But at that point he had no choice, I would guess, if he doesn't have an extra pump, a perk.
Bow spread of Pablo is off. You know, I get them, right? I get their play. If you demask their drink, the enemy is either forced to stay around it, and you can just pick them off, or you're gonna try and do a running engagement with the other two guys, and you'll be fine either way. So I get what they're doing, right? And it's very effective with carronade loadout to demask someone, especially if you're crack shots like these guys are.
True.
But yeah, I'm wondering if all those broadsides they expanded on the sails would not have sunk him.
Oh, Dumpert and Christ are ramming each other. Yep.
Yep, they are. Someone actually advised me since it's evening to go and turn on like colorblind mode. Ah, there it is. Oh. Hope that's better for you guys.
Never tried it. Yeah, Headwill suggested that, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, let me just say, I don't think RUBLI is concerned about their position. What I should say is, I don't think demasking in this specific case was as effective as shooting hole would have been.
Because they had the advantage nevertheless. They didn't need that. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. They already forced Savanata's repair within 5 minutes of the game. Right? In 5 minutes they forced one of the 200 BR ships of the enemy team to repair. That was excellent. Right? I've not seen that so far in tournament. That was perfect. They could have done the same because they had 2 or at some point even 3 guys on Pablo. They could have forced him to repair as well. And then they would have taken the same amount of damage as they have now, but Pablo would not have a repair and he would have been low.
True.
And I just don't see the use of it, of going after his sails. Like, you can see that Frostzone and Savanata are faster and they're kind of running away. You can see that Game Over is coming back to probably go after or at least oppose Pablo. But I'm feeling like the longs of SLRN are actually making this hit and run strategy of RUBLI more difficult than it needs to be. I mean, Game Over taking more damage, and not doing effectively any in return.
But because he's far away and he's not able to use those carronades at that point. Well, not as much as he could have.
Yeah. Inaccuracy comes in, it just makes it difficult for you to hit your shot. If you hit, you probably still penetrate because carronades are just awesome at close range. But it just isn't needed. Like, Game Over will be behind Pablo, and Pablo can't go anywhere. But look at Chris, one side low. Look at Dumpert. Dumpert is just doing fine. Dumpert is Dumpert. But, and still they're going for the mass of Pablo.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
They really want to demask him. It can be good, and you said it. You know, nothing more to add. They had the advantage. They had the firepower, and this doing that, going for the mass now, is making them lose the entire the entire advantage they had grabbed. So that's, you know, nothing more to say. But maybe they'll manage something out of this demasting.
I think so.
They'll lose everything.
Chris got a good broadside or 2 in on the weak side of Savanata, so that's good, right? Savanata isn't capable of just going in and brawl anymore. He will be focused on, especially against carronades. That's like 2 broadsides and he's out of the fight. Unless he takes it on his left, which is going to be hard to do with a RUBLI guy to your right and left. Now, you can see that Game Over is going after the mass of Pablo still. And at this point, I can see where they're coming from, right? At this point, I would be like, I think it's a good investment again. Savanata is forced out of the way, can hardly proper combat you at this point. Pablo, crippled. And there's Captain Frostzone, who's lower-ish at this point as well. So
Yeah.
I think RUBLI can again afford it to do it. Do I think it would have been efficient to shoot the hull? Yes, I think it would have been. But then again, to each his own. And my observation could have been completely wrong. Because if you're in a battle, you'll experience things on a different level. You'll make different equations than I'm making here now. In my battle yesterday, for example, if I listened to the commentary, people were more watching it from a, okay, who is baiting who and who's doing what. But when I was sitting there, I was more like, okay, how much side structure do I have? How much does he have? How much exactly do I take off?
Angle my ship to be able to take less damage, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll just see, okay, we did this good and this good and this good. I feel comfortable. No panic, right? And I don't think the RUBLI guys will panic in this situation. I think they're very comfortable. But you have to understand that the amount of sail hits they have right now could have been hull hits.
Indeed.
And I'm not trying to say it would have been better, but it feels, at least from an outside perspective, that would have been a more efficient play. Because they took 5 minutes to effectively brawl Savanata into a repair, and they've spent the next 15 to get Pablo's mast down.
I just looked, and I don't know if you've realized, but wait, I think is it Savanetta? Yes, it is. Savaneta's poop deck has carronades, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it lower deck is longs, but his upper deck has carronades. He's the only one in his team. I just checked all of them. he actually has carronades, but that on his upper deck. That's it.
By the way, does I almost dare say that they look a bit short, the cannons on Pablo's top deck to be long guns, but that could just be me being tired of the day.
Do you think there are mediums?
I'd say why bring mediums if you bring longs, but
Well, mediums do this tiny bit more damage, maybe.
faster reload, all
Faster
good
reload.
stuff.
Yeah. No, maybe when you're bringing longs, at some point people in front of you have a good chance of having carronades. It would even maybe a tiny bit the situation, though the difference between longs and mediums are really not the same difference as long and carronades. Carronades are really have a different way of firing, have a huge amount of damage.
By the way, it's literally storming over here. I don't know if you can even hear it, but if you can, just give a shout and I'll try to adjust the sensitivity.
From my side, it's perfect. We can't hear a thing.
That's good to hear. 'Cause it's... Well, do you recall the storm battles of all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
we
it's
recall
going on outside
Okay.
right now. And look at the damage Game Over is taking, and I think they're still going after the Mass of Pablo. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
With a few hull hits in between. And let's be honest, there's so many hits on these masts. You know, this is gonna be one of those cases where one of them just turns to do a broadside and knocks down two of them in one broadside,
Yeah.
which would be good.
Captain Frostzone is way behind. Well, no, not that behind, in fact. But he's trying to catch up.
Like, in this situation again, it's good that you went after the masts of these guys, because RUBLI is faster than Pablo as well as Savanata, so they can very easily catch up to them, swarm them, and do what they want with them.
Do you think they're faster than Savanata? If he goes in 135 degree to the wind, do you think they're still
86% versus 94 on an Essex. I'm fairly sure they'll manage that. And this is gonna mark the end of Pablo. I'm just curious to see what they're gonna do with Pablo. If they're just gonna ignore him and focus down someone else, or what is gonna be their game plan? Are they just gonna swarm him, kill him, and then just...
Well, Game Over is pretty short on health at the moment, and if you want to know, the previous match, actually, the demasted team stayed close to their friend to enable him to shoot. They even pushed him towards the enemy so he could fire his broadside. So RUBLI's team had to go in, and they went in at some point. They had no choice.
Seriously, it's coming down like crazy right now outside. I think I can even hear hail. Wow. It's good for the immersion though, let me tell you that. But I'm just curious to see how they're gonna finish it off, because right now what they have achieved is Savanata with a low side. Excellent, right? RUBLI is in a very good position again. Savanata's low, can't repair, can't get in anymore. Perfect. Next up, you have Pablo. Pablo 31% sail. He ain't going anywhere. Next up, you have Captain Frostzone, who's low but quite healthy in Mars HP. So, what can SLRN do at this point? The answer is sit back. That's the only thing they can do.
Well,
sit back.
Don't forget, we've seen quite a few matches where really damaged boats were able to stay afloat for quite a time and even sink other boats while being still afloat. So
True.
I wouldn't bet on that on Savaneta's side, because he repaired so fast. It would indicate, in my opinion, that he's not able to sustain a full broadside out and still not sink like we've seen some. He must. I don't think he's specialized in pump, extra pump, and things like that. He would have saved his repair much longer if he had. So true, we're in a situation, as you just said, where almost two of them are going out.
And now they're casually swarming back. I think they're just gonna absorb Pablo at this point. Get on his weak side, take your time and just shoot them. And look at the range of carronades if you can heal your ship. It's insane.
Have you tried this new carronade perk? Master of Expert Carronade or something like that?
Maybe.
I've tried it. It really is good. Combined with a Pelus sight, it's a good perk.
I'll take your word for it. I'm just like, it's impressive, right? Demastering your enemy in a 3v3 tournament. It's a bit of adding insult to injury, right? It's
Right.
cool. You did it. It's prestigious. I like it. I think it's very interesting that actually anyone went for demasting. But you could have been done with your enemy team twice over if you just would have shot the hull.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they did. I'm gonna look that match again. I don't know what you do when you're in that kind of situation, but when I am, I use opportunities. I mean, if enemy shows me his front, I'll shoot at the sails. If he shows me his broadside, I'll shoot at the broadside. But I'll never try shooting at the broadside if he's like angling a lot, because I know the broadside will be wasted.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this
Friendly
was
snuggle.
shoot opportunity shots that made this. I don't know. This needs to be watched again to be sure.
You're right. You're absolutely right in the regard that if you have a spare broadside, shoot it, unless something else interesting can pop up in the next 20 seconds. Just shoot it and get profit from it. But they deliberately went out of the way to get these mass hits.
Indeed.
And game over, probably gonna repair in like 10 minutes ish time. There's no rush for him. I think he still has his repair.
Oh, when Pablo is in the wind, I didn't see that. That's why he's having such a hard time. Well, I mean, apart from the 29% sales.
Well, if you don't, even if you've lost your bowsprit, if you're stuck in irons with like a bigger ship without a bowsprit, that alone is enough to just ruin your day.
True.
Savanata one side low, Pablo one side low, and Captain Frost, you know,
He's running away now.
it's a matter of time, really. I think it's safe to say with the repair kits, RUBLI still has spare and the HP of dump, but it's in the pocket.
Did Game Over repair at that point?
Sorry?
Did Game Over repair at that point?
Game Over hasn't repaired, I think.
Okay. So he's using his broken broadside to
Yep.
fire without, he doesn't care. He's gonna repair it.
For people that may be wondering why it took such a good tactic, well, oh, 1 minute.
Let's just hope Steel's house hasn't been struck by thunder or something. And he'll be back in just a minute, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Savanetta is trying to protect Pablo.
You
Welcome
know,
back.
yeah, thank you. It's Dumbo just has to play time here. You can take his time. Savanata's sinking. You can just go after Pablo. and even trade broadsides if you want to.
Yeah, he would be able to do so at that point. Though he should keep his broadside as healthy as possible. You never know.
Oh, to get back at the broadside tanking, why is it a good thing to wait with your repair, right? If your side structure is down to 0, and your enemy still has, say, 25% left, he can shoot 2 broadsides into you. If you're on 0%, it won't go any lower, it will just create leaks and cause more crew damage, or casualties. But those 2 broadsides of yours will actually take down 12, 13, 14% of his side structure. So effectively, it's a dead trade. He trades crew and maybe a leak versus actual side structure. And that's a very nice trade.
And Savannah is sunk.
Very nice. Well played by RUBLI. I think SLRN, they had a tough time with the longs in combat. At some point they were further away, and I think they could have utilized it by just trying to disable RUBLI. Disable the movement of your enemies. You have heavier ships, alright, but lighter armament. If you know that, don't go in.
So what you said at the start of this match still applies. If we consider RUBLI is probably, I don't want to, make plans, but it seems very unlikely SLRN managed to sink all those RUBLIs left with only Captain Frostzone able to do so, because let's just be honest, Pablo is done.
It's unlikely. It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
It's a run match.
So RUBLI will probably win that match with this full carronade composition, and there goes his mast, Froststone's masts. Two
And
masts.
another one.
Exactly,
They're playing with
exactly
their
the
food.
same.
This is a classic case of just establishing dominance, right?
Yeah.
They're doing it in a very elegant way. They're just going for it. And on the other side, there's just Dumper taking his time, slowly picking apart Pablo. Death by 1,000 cuts.
We still haven't seen anyone surrender, though surrender is possible if you want to keep your ship.
What I've actually wondered about, which someone mentioned to me, which is a very interesting thing. Can you actually quit? As in, if you were to go about and sink one of the enemy ships and then just leave the battle.
What do you mean? Leave during the
Yeah,
the...
just sail away, utilize like a coward perk and leave.
Well, you could, but you lose the BR in the battle. At the end of the 45 minutes,
So
the BR is
leaving
not here.
counts as losing your BR then?
We haven't discussed that at Judges, but what do you think?
Well,
That's what I would say.
there is an argument on one side, at least that's how he brought it, which I found quite interesting. If I am able of sinking one of your guys and then manage to run away, effectively, then you guys weren't able to keep us in the battle, therefore we've won. And I'm not saying per se that I agree with it, I just think it's a very interesting, and I mean very interesting approach to a hit and run strategy.
True, but well, you're pointing something out that we should probably talk about, and that's you're having a good point. But we said running for the entire match was not a valid tactic, which if you sink someone and leave is not the case, obviously. But still, it's a way of saying I'm not going to fight and I'm gonna leave the battle arena. The tournament is I don't know. I would still think either we should prevent players from leaving, saying you're not allowed to do so, you're allowed to surrender but not to leave before the 45 minutes, or it would count as a BR loss because he's not in the battle helping his other mates. So it's not like saving a ship is that important in regards of a port battle, or every ship that you able to survive can come and fight the next port battle. That's not the case. That's a tournament. So yeah, it's an interesting thing you're pointing out right there still.
Like, my own opinion is, I agree with you, right? To an extent, I think it would be silly if you were to just, kill a ship and then leave. But I think it holds some very interesting line of thinking to it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you aren't able to keep me in the battle after I kill one of your guys, that means I've successfully attacked you and I've successfully escaped.
True.
Could you not say that in that case I've successfully beat you guys?
In a hit and run tactics.
I like it.
Totally. That's what I like doing in near Brit coasts. But that's another subject. Topic, right?
Fair enough.
You did notice I didn't say Dutch coasts.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to. I don't mean people aren't able to, I just mean you wouldn't be able to, because I'll hunt you down specifically. But yeah, it's 8 minutes on the clock, 2 SLRN guys down. Captain Froststone has spent his repair, game over, has spent his repair, Chris has spent his repair. It's a matter of minutes.
It is.
And as soon as the battle is over, I'll actually log off, because the storm is getting so close here that I'm afraid it's gonna actually strike. So
we just heard it right now. Right when you spoke, we just heard it.
okay.
So yeah, it is 7 minutes to go, maybe less. He's probably gonna sink before. And yes, we understand that you.
Luckily.
We don't want you to burn something in your PC. I need you. I still need you. There are lots of matches. Don't leave me streaming that alone.
Well, to be honest, it wouldn't be the first time something got fried, but hence why you don't want to risk it anymore. And dump it coming in as well. Just yeah, it's a matter of minutes. And look how they're still going for a DMAS, by the way.
Yep.
I must say that these guys have excellent aim, right? They're very good at what they do. They know how it works, no carronade damage against. Mast is incredibly effective. It does a lot of damage, it's good for demasting, especially against lighter ships. In this case, they were fighting lighter ships. Right, Trings, sorry, an Essex and Surprise versus Cerberus, but versus Drink. I'm not sure what I want to say, and in the meantime, I'm somewhat distracted by what's going on in the background.
If you want my opinion on that, I think it was somehow there that you were going to go. Hey, they demasted it again,
Nice.
by the way. But it's that two ships. The same size, say 2 surprises. The mechanics goes that way. If you hit a same size ship 7 to 9 times in the mast, it will go down. In the lower part of the mast, it will go down. A carronade, say a surprise, it has like 9-pounders or something like that. When you get carronades on it, it's 24-pounder or 32. I can't
and that goes to GG. Alright, for the people watching the stream, I am gonna close it down right now and start the upload another time. So GG to the teams involved. Thank you, Kair. Shout out to the organization as always, and Game Labs, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.